What if the lights go out and never come back on? Not from a hurricane, not from war, but from a deliberate strike, executed with lines of code, silent, invisible, devastating. A blackout with no warning, no storm, no sirens, just darkness. What if the next pandemic isn't a virus? It's a digital plague. And what if it's not just possible, but inevitable? Right now, the United States runs on fragile wires. The power grid is a patchwork of aging systems, some built over half a century ago. Experts have called it the most vulnerable piece of critical infrastructure in the country. One that, if taken down, could collapse society in days. Not months, not weeks, days. In 2023, the Director of National Intelligence issued a report that was largely ignored by the public. In it, a single phrase stood out. Cyber threats to U.S. critical infrastructure will become increasingly severe. But what does that mean, really? Let's be blunt. It means that with the right malware and the right access, entire regions of the country could be plunged into a total blackout. No power, no communications, no functioning economy, almost instantly. You might think, well, we've had blackouts before. We've had storms. Texas in 2021, New York in 2003. But this would be different. This would be nationwide. This would be sabotage. And it would be time to hurt the most, maybe in the dead of winter, or on election day, or just after a major geopolitical flashpoint. Because this wouldn't just be about taking out the lights. It would be about breaking the spine of a nation. Think about it. No electricity means no refrigeration. Grocery stores would be stripped bare in hours. No ATMs, no bank transfers, no way to buy or sell unless you have cash, and even that would quickly become useless. Gas pumps don't work without power. Hospitals run on generators, but those only last so long. And for the millions dependent on digital life support systems, power isn't a luxury, it's survival. And yet the threat isn't coming. It's already here. In 2021, the Colonial Pipeline, which supplies 45% of fuel to the East Coast, was shut down by a ransomware attack. It took just one compromised password. One. That attack caused gas shortages, price spikes, and widespread panic. And that was just a single pipeline. What happens when it's the entire grid? In 2020, SolarWinds was hacked. That breach went undetected for months. The attackers had access to over 18,000 organizations, including federal agencies. They didn't shut anything down, but they could have. And that's the point. These aren't just random attacks, they're test runs, probing the system, mapping it, waiting. And if you think this only comes from outside the US, think again. Edward Snowden revealed that the NSA itself has planted cyber weapons inside foreign infrastructure. So what makes you think other nations haven't done the same to us? There's no rule book in digital warfare, no Geneva Convention for cyber attacks, just capability and intent. Now let's talk about EMPs. Electromagnetic pulses, either solar or man-made, can fry electronics, destroy transformers, and shut down grids permanently. A nuclear EMP detonated high above the US wouldn't kill anyone directly, but within weeks, millions would be dead from the collapse of food, water, and medical systems. This isn't science fiction. In 2008, a congressional commission warned that a successful EMP attack could kill 90% of the US population within a year. But maybe it doesn't take an EMP. Maybe it's just code, malware, a zero-day exploit hidden in software used by every utility company in America. Some experts say that malicious code could already be sitting inside our systems right now, dormant, waiting for a remote signal to activate. And here's the worst part. If the grid goes down, it's not just that everything stops working. Society begins to rot. People panic. The illusion of order collapses. Riots erupt. Looting begins. Cities become war zones. Think COVID supply shortages, but magnified 100 times, with no way to communicate, no help on the way, and no end in sight. Martial law would be declared, but good luck enforcing it in a country of 330 million people, most of them armed, many of them desperate. How long before neighbor turns on neighbor? Before local governments collapse? Before states begin to break away, fighting for their own resources? And what about the economy? The stock market, the banks, the digital money, all gone. Your savings? Locked behind a screen that won't turn on. Bitcoin? Useless if the network is down. You can't Venmo your way out of starvation. Even if the government tries to respond, they may be powerless. Many of their systems are just as vulnerable. And what if the attackers didn't just want to disable the grid, but control it? Imagine foreign powers flipping switches, dictating who gets light and who stays in the dark. A cyber siege, a digital occupation. You might be thinking, surely we have defenses. We do, but they're fragmented, underfunded, bureaucratic, and outdated. The U.S. power grid is owned by over 3,000 different utilities, public, private, and cooperative. There's no unified defense, no single shield. Just scattered doors, all of them slightly ajar. And the attackers? They're faster, smarter, more ruthless. They don't need to follow regulations. They don't need congressional approval. They just need access and time. And let's not forget the psychological impact. Darkness does something to the human mind. It breeds fear, paranoia, hopelessness, isolation. The internet is where people turn for answers, for connection, for purpose. Remove that, and you don't just turn off devices. You turn off people. You reduce the nation to scattered, frightened tribal units, easy to control or destroy. This isn't just a technological threat. It's a societal time bomb, and the fuse may already be lit. Still think it's far-fetched? Ask yourself why the military is quietly hardening select bases against blackout scenarios, why elite billionaires are buying bunkers and off-grid properties, why cybersecurity spending has exploded in recent years. They know something, or at least they're preparing for something. But the average person? Completely unprepared, dependent on fragile systems, blind to the vulnerability they live inside. It won't be like COVID. You won't be able to work from home. You won't be able to scroll or stream or Zoom your way through this one. If the grid goes down, society doesn't bend, it breaks. So the question isn't if, the question is when. And more disturbingly, who benefits when it happens? Would a foreign adversary really need to invade the U.S. with tanks and troops if it could simply switch the lights off and watch the country eat itself? Would global elites exploit the chaos to install digital ID systems, smart cities, and total surveillance under the banner of emergency measures? Would the media tell you it was terrorism or blame it on climate change? Or worse, would they say nothing at all because there'd be no signal left to lie to you? Because in that moment, in the dark, you won't know what's happening. Only that everything you relied on is gone. The next pandemic won't be fought with vaccines or masks. It'll be fought in silence, in chaos, in the flickering moments before the batteries run out. So here's the real question. When the lights go out, will you be ready? Join the resistance. Subscribe to the channel and sign up for the underground newsletter before they pull the plug.